Morning guys, such coming again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Prid with some spicy words for Skyz after last season when Prid was out of OpTic, then he was back in OpTic, but Skyz was his AR at that moment. Not long after, Skyz was dropped, Mercules was in, and that was really the turnaround in fortunes for OpTic Texas. Prid says if he had Skyz not on the team and he had Mercules, and says could have been a very different story last season, but also some drama on the map set and potential changes coming very soon. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Just to start off with a few Lionman cards, we will get to Falcons and Pred of course in a second. He was the best performer of the stage by the numbers, in addition to Selim at an 87 overall, Exon and Kismet at a 75-74. So interesting stage for them. They started off quite poorly, then they got quite substantially better. They were top 8 at the major. I don't think that's, it's not like it does them a crazy injustice, but they lost to OpTic, they lost to FaZe, two very competitive teams. On another day, they could have been, you know, for sure top 6. Maybe even they could have made the Sunday. But look, Prid and Selim, definitely one of the duos of all time. Kismet was saying on stream the other day, he's not been able to get comfortable yet on that flex roll, on that second AR. So there are some questions on if these results, if these placements continue for Falcons, whether they will need to consider an alternative. But yeah, I think Pred was pretty impressive to me this stage, all things considered, given there were lots of questions on, is Pred really going to get on with this game so well? There's lots of movement. He likes to lay down on the floor, this type of stuff, but seems to be working pretty well so far. Couple of purple stats on Thieves. Scrap was purple, damage per 10 in hardpoint. Not shocked on that front, but his numbers overall fine, but like a 92 for Scrap is low for him, right? Just given his playstyle and everything. Their hardpoint record was negative, everything else was even. Kenny was at a 75 overall. Again, look, his overall numbers, 0.92, 0.93, 0.91. Like, you'd think that's probably okay. Like, he's at 0.92 in hardpoint with decent enough hill time, right? It's just what I said. It's the consistency, Like, if you look at Kenny's overall cards, you'll say, well, a 75 overall with Scrap, HyDra, and aBeZy, and with solid hill time and objective work, that might be enough for Kenny to stay. But it's just the 0.6 is that they got too much to handle, I suppose. But anyway, his numbers in search were pretty bad. That's what really dragged him down. aBeZy hill time per 10 in hardpoint was actually best in category for an SMG, which is, well, obviously has to compensate for the fact that you're not getting anything out of Scrap and HyDra. So anyway, those are the Thieves cards. The other team is Heretics. I think many might have expected Rancor to have a higher rating than he did, but his Search and Destroy was pretty woeful. His KD was fine enough, but he just didn't do much. Like, damage per round was low, kills per round was low, first blood rate was poor, so that Search and Destroy dragged him down, but his hardpoint was pretty unbelievable. If it was only a hardpoint rating, then Rancor would be pretty much right at the top of the list. So that was Heretics anyway. Solid stage 1 for them. They finished top 6 in the end. Ranked is here, and I think people are starting to get a proper experience of what it is like to play these map mode combinations on a competitive basis, and that's why that talk has now turned to what the CDL might do in terms of map pool. So today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday, the start of a new week, and also the start of the first week back for the Pro League, which begins this upcoming Friday. In the next couple of days, roster lock happens, but also they will likely confirm what the changes to the map set are likely to be. And there has been lots of talk about this during the first stage. We often find map sets change going forward, and there are plenty to choose from. We've got Meltdown, an option in Search and Destroy. We've got Fringe. We've got, Yemen's coming relatively soon. Even Express is in this game, and it's not been played so far. There are other options as well, such as new maps that have come in, like Utopia, and also Saki, and we'll discuss that actually right about now. So, Shotzzy walked through this map, and, well, his first impressions were actually very positive. I think this map, not only does it look great, it looks a lot like Den, obviously, but it's just got that overall Japanese theme. This is not Den, and Shotzzy walked around it, and within a couple of minutes he said he thinks this map is better than anything else we have in the pool. Now that might prove to be an exaggeration, it might prove to be an overstatement, but I would be surprised if it's not better than at least something in the pool. And, well, TJ Halley actually agrees. Saki needs to be a map. So let's see what they decide to do. Over the last few years, the pros have generally made these decisions. That, you know, Spinner Spence and the boys at the league, they will be in the pro chat with the representatives and they will say, okay, hey, what maps do you guys want to get rid of? Let's vote on it. What maps do you want to bring in? Let's figure that out. But the pros always tend to vote with a level of bias. For example, let's say all the pros agree Saki's great and needs to be in. They won't, but let's say they did. What can they agree on in terms of which map is going to go? Some will want Blackheart gone because they don't like it. Some will want Colossus gone because they don't like it. Scar, whatever. It's the same kind of story. So last year, for the first time ever, the league effectively just made these calls themselves. They said, all right, lads, it's been a pleasure having you call the shots, but we're not going to do that anymore. We make the decisions. Now, how will they make those decisions is a good question. They often justify them based on what map gets vetoed the most. But I'm not sure that's really a great assessment because, you know, let's say you play a team who's really good at a certain map and it's a very popular map, but they're really good at it, so you might veto it against them. Whereas the maps that nobody wants to play, for example, you go through the veto process, you go ban, and then you pick one. But the maps that never get picked, arguably those might be the ones that need to go. So using what map gets vetoed the most, which was kind of the argument they gave last year, I'm not sure stands up to too much scrutiny. But they have to make a decision somehow, and look, who knows how they will come to that conclusion. Zuma says Colossus is the worst hardpoint in the game. It's not close, the most uncompetitive map. Scar is also terrible, which is, you know, I wouldn't say a crazy hot take, but within reason, whoever you ask is going to give you a different opinion. Personally, I'd be in favor of getting rid of Blackheart. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it looks good. I don't think it's especially fun to watch. I don't like the first hill. It's pretty chaotic, but I would actually be in favor of moving away from the more chaotic hardpoint maps that are just like Bocage. So I think personally I'd get rid of Blackheart. I'm sure that others will disagree and they'd prefer Colossus to go or whatever. I don't think anyone's really calling for Den to go, so that likely will stay. But again, what do you do in Search and Destroy? I think Scar Search and Destroy could well be on the chopping block as well. I know that lots of people don't really like that one, but it does get played a lot. So that's the question, right? The league needs, I don't know, some sort of committee to come up with a conclusion. Crowder says, coach of FaZe, they're just going to close their eyes and pick a random map to remove anyway. Should be a fun result. So let's see what they decide to do. But I do think that Saki in for Hardpoint and, I don't know, Meltdown in for Search and Destroy, I think at least those two changes should happen. What they get rid of, as I say, I would probably get rid of Blackheart. I know that's probably going to be kind of controversial. And what would I get rid of in Search and Destroy? Some people don't like Colossus Search, which I do get, but as I say, Colossus Search still gets a fair bit of play, and we did just have that Neptune play, so I don't know if that's going to change their minds, but like if I'm the league and I'm thinking about getting rid of Colossus, I'm thinking, it did just produce that Neptune crazy moment, so I think I should keep it. So I'd probably get rid of something else instead. Scar Search and Destroy is fine. It's relatively one-dimensional. It was obviously the deciding match of the series, so but even then, there's maps like Express that we could also consider too. I don't think they played Express at the start because they couldn't turn off the train. I don't know if they've even fixed that by now, but if they have, surely that's a consideration there. So anyway, Shotzzy says, or that Shotzzy and Predator talking about it, I'll share the couple of clips in a second when I share the Skyz one. We've got to get rid of Scar, Den, or Exposure. That's the other map, right? Nameless is talking about it, Exposure. Not a big fan of Exposure, really. I know that it's kind of got some frequency level vibes in terms of the way the map is, but yeah, they're kind of keen to see that gone instead, so I guess time will tell. But I've got to share this clip here, the Skyz one that's been causing all the drama.
Guys, listen, I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to argue. Colossus is by far the worst hardpoint in the game, and it's not even fucking close, guys. I know it's a bang out. I know it's entertaining to watch. It is by far the most uncompetitive map in the game right now, and I won't be told otherwise. That map is atrocious. That map sucks. Okay, Scar is probably second in line there. Scar's probably second in line. They're hand in hand. I actually don't mind Exposure that much. So some of you guys saying Exposure, I don't mind Exposure that much. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Exposure doesn't bother me that much. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, try this. They're running on a half.
Yo, actually, does anyone know that we have to get rid of Scar, Den, or Exposure? Or exposure?
Did they know that? Probably
What
not.
a fucking lobby.
I'm not really sure the reasoning, to be honest, but
Tell and I need to follow on Twitter since I'm T3 sub.
Hardpoint locked down.
oh, I could already tell this in Money Hill, bro. Or probably spawn in the back. We're gonna bang like the front window. Oh, this map's actually good. Fuck is over here? I like this, bro. I like this. Then you can play around for spawns. It's good. This is a fucking interesting hill. Fuck it, it'll do. I'm not even trolling. I think this map is better than literally every single map in the map right now. Yeah, I see fucking 7 seconds
Bro,
on the screen.
it's easy if you have Mercules. Oh my god, I actually almost got 50, bro. I had 44. Wow. Okay, we're running back on the top one. If I had Mercules on my team, I could do whatever I want as well. What? Give me Merc. Okay, back, you guys gave me Skyz. Give me Merc.
Performance, set team. Make sure it's stable.
Oh my god. Yeah, you actually made this.
I had Merc, I'd go back to back too.
Nice to see Shotzzy and Pred still sharing a laugh, right? I think these guys still play like paddle together and stuff like that, so they're still obviously friends despite all the drama that happened at OpTic last year. And it's pretty funny from Pred. Of course, look, is Pred in a bad spot now? No. He's getting paid plenty of money on the Falcons. He's playing well. The team looks like it's on a better trajectory than it was last year. So, you know, Pred's in an okay spot. But last year, of course, was very controversial. It was all started by the Pred drama back in December 2024. And then it wasn't too long after that he was gone. Huke was in, and then all of a sudden Huke was gone, Pred was back in, and then Skyz was in for Kenny. The team was not good, and they were terrible in that whole period, really. Eventually, as I say, Kenny is gone for Skyz, Pred eventually is gone as well, they bring Huke back in. And then, after another poor performance, then they discovered that Mercules was the man to go for. Well, they were kind of forced into it by Hex and Zinni. That's the move that they made. Would things have been different, right, if Pred was still there with Mercules in the team? We know that Kenny and Pred weren't necessarily seeing so eye to eye during that OpTic stint. Skyz was not great for OpTic last season. He's been pretty good so far this year, I would say. Maybe pretty good is a bit of a stretch, but he's been solid for sure for that roster on G2 Minnesota this season. He played pretty well online. He did have a difficult final match in the tournament in Dallas, but overall, Skyz has been solid enough for G2 this season. I think you kind of know what you're going to get out of a player like Skyz. Like, he's got great vibes, great energy in the team. That is for sure one of the reasons why OpTic not only brought him in, but also didn't want to get rid of him. But equally, Mercules is just better. I mean, he's better than basically everyone right now. So that's not much of a criticism on Skyz. If Merc was there with Pred, how would they have done, right? I mean, look, the reality is it doesn't seem to matter who Mercules teams with, he's going to get a good result. When he played with Toronto, they were what, like top 3, then his first tournament with OpTic, they were top 4, and then they went first, and now second at the start of the new year. So doesn't seem to matter for Merc. He will be there in the grand finals within reason, and I'm sure that even with Pred that could have been possible. Was Huke a better fit culturally and dynamically for that team last season? Probably yes, but look, he says if I had Mercules, then I'd be going back to back as well. So, you know, for all this talk from Pred, oh, Celium's the best tier I've ever played with, you know, he still seemed to be suggesting that if he had Mercules instead, it might be a very different story. But very much intrigued to your thoughts, as always, and all this stuff in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.